OMG. After a long silence, your soulmate secretly found out what was really happening in your life. My beloved child, don't skip, stay till the end, because something huge is waiting. After such a long silence, something has finally shifted, and your soulmate has discovered something they were never supposed to understand this clearly. For a long time, they only saw the outside of your life. They saw your distance, your silence, the way you kept moving forward without explaining what was happening inside you. They may have wondered whether you had forgotten them, whether your feelings had changed, or whether your life had simply moved in another direction. But recently, one unexpected detail changed their entire perspective. Don't skip, because what they found out wasn't small. It made them look back at everything differently. The conversations, the unanswered questions, the moments when you seemed strong even though something deeper was happening beneath the surface. And suddenly, your silence stopped looking like indifference. It started looking like something they had completely misunderstood. Here is where everything becomes more intense. Your soulmate secretly began connecting pieces they had ignored before, and the picture forming in their mind surprised them. They realized that while they were wondering why you became quiet, you were carrying things you never openly spoke about. You were trying to keep your life together, protect your peace, and understand your own direction without asking anyone to rescue you. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The biggest realization wasn't simply that you had been going through changes, it was that they finally understood how much of your story they never knew. Certain moments that once confused them suddenly made sense. Certain words you said now sounded completely different in their memory. And one question started becoming impossible for them to ignore: what if I misunderstood this person the entire time? That question has changed the way they see you, because now they are looking beyond what you showed everyone else. But there is one more layer, and this is the part you need to hear carefully. What affected your soulmate most was realizing that you kept becoming stronger without announcing it. You didn't need everyone to understand your journey. You didn't explain every quiet moment. You simply continued becoming someone different from the person they remembered. And now that they have discovered what was really happening in your life, their silence carries a completely different meaning. Something inside them has been awakened. Curiosity, emotion, unfinished questions, and the realization that perhaps they judged your story before knowing the truth. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, because this discovery may only be the beginning. There is still one thing your soulmate has not said aloud, one realization they have been keeping entirely to themselves, and when you understand what it is, you'll see why this long silence may have changed far more than you ever imagined. Something changed inside your soulmate the moment the truth finally became impossible to ignore. They had spent so much time believing they understood your silence, but now they realized they were only seeing a tiny piece of the story. Don't skip, because this is where their thoughts about you begin changing completely. They secretly discovered that while you appeared quiet on the outside, your life was transforming in ways they never expected. You were learning, rebuilding, becoming more selective about where you placed your energy, and slowly stepping into a version of yourself they had never met before. And that realization hit them deeply because suddenly they understood something surprising: you weren't waiting for someone to notice your growth. You were changing because something within you had changed. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate has started replaying old memories through this completely new understanding, and moments that once seemed ordinary suddenly feel meaningful. Your pauses make sense. Your distance makes sense. Even certain things you never said are beginning to make sense. But one particular realization is affecting them more than everything else. What they discovered next was something they never expected. Your silence had a story behind it. There were moments when you could have explained yourself, yet you chose to keep moving. There were moments when you could have chased understanding, yet you allowed people to believe whatever they wanted. And now your soulmate is realizing how much strength that required. Don't skip, because their biggest surprise isn't simply what happened in your life, it's who you became because of it. They remember the person you used to be, but now they sense something different about you. Something calmer. Something harder to overlook. And this has created a question inside them that keeps returning when everything becomes quiet. What else have I failed to understand about this person? That question is opening a door they thought had already closed. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because they have started noticing one detail about your connection that they previously dismissed, and once they noticed it, they couldn't unsee it. It made them wonder whether the silence between you was actually an ending, or whether it was quietly preparing both of you to see the connection differently. And now comes the revelation they have been keeping to themselves. Your soulmate may have discovered what was happening in your life, but what truly shook them was realizing what was happening inside their own heart while they were learning it. They expected answers to make everything easier, yet those answers brought back feelings and questions they thought had disappeared. Memories began returning differently. Things they once took for granted suddenly carried weight. And somewhere between discovering your truth and remembering your connection, they realized that you still occupy a place in their thoughts that nobody else has completely replaced. Don't skip, because there is another discovery coming, and it is far bigger than simply missing someone. Your soulmate is beginning to understand why your paths became quiet at exactly the moment they did, and what they now want to do with everything they have learned. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The next truth is the one they have been struggling to admit even to themselves, and once it rises to the surface, this long silence may never feel the same again. Now the silence is beginning to reveal something your soulmate never expected to feel again. The more they understand what was really happening in your life, the harder it becomes for them to look at the past the same way. Don't skip, because one realization has started following them into their quietest moments. They may have mistaken your transformation for distance. They thought you were simply moving away, but now they can see that you were becoming more aware of yourself, your worth, your direction, and what you would no longer accept from life. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There is a reason this realization feels so powerful to them. They remember moments when you could have explained everything but remained silent. They remember times when your energy seemed different, yet they never asked what was happening beneath the surface. Now those memories are returning with completely different meaning. And suddenly, the question is no longer, why did you become distant? The question has become, how did I fail to notice what was really happening? That single thought has opened something inside them they cannot easily close again. But what happened next surprised them even more. Your soulmate started comparing the version of you they remembered with the person you appear to be becoming now, and the difference feels impossible to ignore. Don't skip. This is where everything gets deeper. They expected time to make you predictable, but instead, time made you mysterious to them again. There are parts of your life they no longer understand, dreams they never heard about, decisions they never witnessed, and an entire inner transformation that happened while the connection remained quiet. And strangely, that unknown side of you is pulling their attention back. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because they have begun asking themselves a question they never thought they would ask: if I met this person again today, would everything feel different? That thought is powerful because they are no longer remembering only who you were. They are wondering who you are now. And somewhere inside that curiosity is an emotion they have been trying to name. It isn't simply nostalgia. It isn't simply wondering about the past. It is the realization that perhaps there is still something unfinished in the way they understand you. Then came the thought that changed everything: what if the silence was never the most important part of this story? What if what happened during the silence was what truly mattered? Don't skip, because your soulmate is beginning to understand that while nothing appeared to be happening between you, everything was changing within you, and possibly within them too. They now know something about your journey that has made them question assumptions they once treated like facts. And there is one truth they still haven't spoken aloud. If they had understood then what they understand now, they might have responded very differently. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Their mind is now standing between two powerful possibilities: leave everything in the past exactly where it is, or finally acknowledge what this discovery has awakened inside them. And the most surprising part is that their heart may already be leaning toward one of those choices. What they are considering next could explain why they needed to discover the truth about your life before they could finally understand the truth about their own feelings. And suddenly, the question your soulmate was avoiding has become impossible to silence. What if discovering the truth about your life was meant to change the way they see everything between you? Don't skip, because this is where their private realization becomes much deeper. They are no longer thinking only about what happened in the past. They are thinking about what could happen if your paths crossed again now, after everything both of you have experienced. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They once believed they already knew your heart, your personality, your dreams, and the way you would always respond, but the person they secretly discovered beneath your silence is different. You became stronger without needing applause. You learned how to protect your peace without explaining every decision. You continued building yourself even when nobody could see the full picture. And that has left your soulmate with a surprising realization: perhaps they never completely knew you at all. Instead of pushing them away, that thought has made them want to understand you again. Not the old version. Not the memory. You, as you are now. Here is the twist they never expected. The more answers your soulmate found about your life, the more questions they discovered about themselves. Don't skip. They started wondering why your name can still bring back memories so quickly. Why certain moments between you still feel unusually vivid. Why learning about your transformation affected them more deeply than they expected. And beneath all those questions sits one possibility they can no longer dismiss: perhaps their feelings were never completely gone, they simply became quiet. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because this realization has made them reconsider the meaning of your long silence. They once saw silence as proof that everything had faded. Now they are wondering whether silence simply gave both of you enough distance to understand what truly mattered. They can see that you didn't remain frozen in the past. You evolved. You became more difficult to predict, more certain about yourself, and more aware of what deserves a place in your life. And now your soulmate knows that if they ever step toward you again, they cannot approach you with the same mindset they carried before. Something would have to be different. But the biggest revelation is still hidden beneath everything they have discovered. Your soulmate has begun imagining one moment they previously avoided imagining, seeing you again and finally having the conversation that silence postponed. Don't skip, because what they secretly want to understand next could change the meaning of this entire story. They want to know whether the connection they remember would still exist between the people you have both become. They want to know whether you would look at them differently now. And most of all, they wonder whether there is still something unspoken between you that time never completely erased. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate may have started this journey trying to discover what was happening in your life, but now they have discovered something unexpected inside themselves. And there is one final truth approaching, something stronger than curiosity and deeper than remembering the past. It is the reason they may no longer be satisfied with simply knowing your story from a distance. The silence revealed the truth, but what they decide to do after discovering it could become the most surprising part of everything. What happens next is the moment your soulmate never prepared themselves for, because after discovering the truth about your life, they can no longer return to the comfortable version of the story they once believed. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you, and this changes the meaning of everything that came before. They thought time would make the connection feel smaller. They thought enough silence would turn powerful memories into ordinary ones. But instead, learning what you were actually experiencing made certain memories stronger. Now they understand that some of your quietest moments carried the biggest changes. You weren't disappearing, you were discovering yourself. You weren't standing still. You were becoming someone with clearer boundaries, deeper confidence, and a completely different understanding of what you deserve. Stay till the end, because your soulmate has finally realized something they cannot easily forget. While they were wondering what happened to you, you were becoming the person they would have to meet all over again. And that thought has created an unexpected feeling inside them. They don't simply want answers about your past anymore. They want to know the person standing on the other side of that silence. Then something even more surprising entered their mind. What if the connection would feel stronger now precisely because neither of you is exactly who you used to be? Don't skip, because this question has started changing everything inside them. Your soulmate is remembering the smallest details. The conversations that ended too quickly, the words that carried more meaning than either of you admitted, and the strange feeling that some things between you were never completely finished. But now those memories are being viewed through a new lens. They understand more about what you were carrying. They understand why certain moments unfolded differently than expected. And most importantly, they understand that assumptions may have created a story that was never entirely true. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate is no longer asking whether the past can return. Deep inside, they know it cannot, and strangely, they don't want it to. What they are wondering is whether something completely new could exist between the two people you have become. That possibility is far more powerful because it doesn't depend on recreating yesterday. It depends on discovering what is still real today. And this is where the long silence finally reaches its most unexpected meaning. Your soulmate secretly found out what was really happening in your life, but the greatest discovery wasn't about your circumstances, it was about how completely their understanding of you had changed. Don't skip. There is one last realization hiding beneath everything. They now know that if they ever approach you again, they cannot come with assumptions, old expectations, or half-hearted curiosity. They would have to meet you with honesty, patience, and a willingness to discover you from the beginning. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Somewhere inside them, a decision is quietly forming. They can continue watching from a distance and forever wonder what might have happened, or they can finally acknowledge that discovering your truth awakened something they thought silence had buried. And here is what makes this once-in-a-lifetime revelation so powerful. Perhaps they weren't meant to discover what happened in your life so they could understand your past. Perhaps they discovered it so they could finally understand why, after all this time, your story still matters so deeply to them. And now only one question remains: when silence finally gives way to truth, who will have the courage to speak first? But before anyone speaks, something even more powerful is happening beneath the silence. Don't skip, because your soulmate has reached the realization they kept resisting from the beginning. Knowing the truth about your life didn't close the chapter, it opened a completely different one. They expected their curiosity to disappear once they understood what had really been happening with you, yet the exact opposite happened. Every answer uncovered another question. Every memory suddenly carried another meaning. And now there is one thought they cannot push away. What if I discovered all of this too late? Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. That question has made them look at your journey differently. They can see that you kept moving without waiting for their understanding. You kept growing without needing their attention. You became more certain about what belongs in your life, and that is precisely what makes this moment so surprising. Your soulmate realizes that you are no longer standing where they left you in their memories. If they ever want to know you again, they will have to step beyond everything they assumed about you. And suddenly, the possibility of losing the chance to truly understand you feels more powerful than the comfort of remaining silent. Now comes the realization that changes the entire emotional direction of this story. Your soulmate has secretly begun wondering what you know about them. Don't skip. Until now, they were focused on discovering what happened in your life, but suddenly the question has reversed. Do you ever remember the same moments? Did the silence change your understanding too? Would hearing from them surprise you, or would some part of you understand exactly why they returned? Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because these questions have created an emotion they weren't expecting. For the first time, your soulmate cannot predict what place they hold in your world anymore. And that uncertainty is making your presence feel even more significant. They once thought they had unlimited time to understand what the connection meant. Now they realize life continued moving, and you continued changing. The shocking part is that this hasn't made them forget you, it has made them recognize your value from an entirely different perspective. They are beginning to understand that some people become clearer only after distance removes all the noise, and your silence may have revealed something that constant conversation never could. And here is the truth they are getting closer to admitting: they don't want another assumption to decide the ending. Don't skip, because this is the point where everything your soulmate discovered begins pushing toward a choice. They know they cannot rewrite what happened before. They cannot return to an older version of you, and they cannot pretend they are the same person either. But perhaps that was never what this story needed. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. What they are considering now isn't about recreating the past, it is about discovering whether something genuine still exists in the present. And there is one detail making this decision even more intense. Your soulmate has started imagining the first words they would say if the silence finally ended. Not a perfect speech. Not some dramatic explanation. Just something real enough to open a door that has remained closed for far too long. Yet before they make that move, there is one final question they need answered inside themselves, and it may be the biggest revelation of all. Are they returning because they miss the memory of you, or because after finally discovering who you became, they realize they still want a place in the life you are building now? This is where everything turns in a direction your soulmate never saw coming. Don't skip, because the answer to that final question has started becoming clearer, and it is far more powerful than simply missing a memory. Your soulmate is realizing that what keeps pulling their attention back isn't only who you were. It is the mystery of who you have become. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They secretly discovered enough about your life to understand that the person they once knew has evolved, but not enough to satisfy the questions now filling their mind. They want to know what makes you smile differently now, what dreams you protect quietly, what changed your perspective, and what kind of future you are creating when nobody is watching. And this is the surprising part. The more they realize they don't know, the more meaningful you become in their thoughts. Before, they could hide behind old assumptions. Now those assumptions are disappearing. They finally understand that knowing your history is not the same as knowing your heart today. Something inside them is saying that if your paths ever meet again, they cannot treat it like a continuation of an old story. They would have to discover you again from the beginning. And strangely, that possibility is exactly what they cannot stop thinking about. Then came a realization so unexpected that it changed the question completely. Your soulmate stopped asking, "Do I still feel something?" and started asking, "Why did learning the truth affect me this deeply?" Don't skip. That difference matters more than it seems. If you meant nothing to them anymore, your transformation would have been nothing more than information. They would have heard it, understood it, and continued forward without looking back. But that isn't what happened. Instead, your story stayed with them. Certain details replayed in their mind. Old conversations suddenly returned. Things they once overlooked began carrying completely different meaning. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate has finally noticed the pattern. Every new truth about your journey leads them back to the same place. The unfinished emotional question between you. And now they understand why the silence never gave them the complete ending they expected. Silence stopped communication, but it never answered what the connection truly meant. That answer remained hidden, waiting beneath everything neither of you said. And now the biggest shift is beginning. Don't skip, because your soulmate may be closer than ever to choosing truth over uncertainty. They have imagined remaining silent forever, and for the first time, that possibility feels heavier than speaking. They know approaching you would mean accepting something important. You may not respond exactly as the person they remember would have responded. You have changed. Your standards may have changed. Your heart may have changed. Your entire direction may be different. But strangely, that doesn't make them want to know less, it makes the truth feel even more important. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is reaching the point where wondering from a distance may no longer be enough. And one thought keeps returning with incredible force: if I say nothing now, will I always wonder what could have happened if I had simply been real? That is the thought breaking through the long silence. But there is still one final discovery they haven't fully understood yet. Something about you that could determine whether they remain only a memory in your story or finally find the courage to become part of a completely new chapter. Now the final discovery is beginning to surface, and it is the one your soulmate never expected to find when they first started quietly learning what had really been happening in your life. Don't skip, because everything has been leading toward this moment. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate finally understands that your greatest transformation wasn't something visible from the outside. It was the way you stopped needing people to recognize your value before you could recognize it yourself. Somewhere during that long silence, you learned how to keep moving without explanations, how to protect what mattered to you, and how to become comfortable with leaving certain questions unanswered. And this realization has completely changed how they see you. They once believed that if enough time passed, they could return and find the same person waiting inside the same story. Now they know that person no longer exists in exactly the same way. There is a stronger awareness around you now, and your soulmate senses it. That is why their next move feels so significant. If they ever step back into your world, they know they cannot arrive expecting an old connection to automatically open the door. They would have to show you something different. Something genuine enough to meet the person you have become. But there is another truth hiding underneath this realization, and it may be the most surprising one yet. Don't skip. Your soulmate has begun understanding that the silence changed them too. While you were discovering what you wanted from life, they were slowly discovering what your absence revealed about your place in theirs. At first, they could dismiss a memory. Then another appeared. They could ignore one question, but another followed. And after secretly finding out what had actually been happening in your life, everything they had pushed aside suddenly connected. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because they finally see that this was never only about wondering where you went or what you were doing. It became about understanding why your story still had the power to make them stop and think. They expected the truth to make you easier to forget. Instead, it made you harder to misunderstand. And that difference is enormous. For perhaps the first time, they are seeing your silence not as emptiness, but as a chapter filled with growth they simply weren't there to witness. Now one question remains in their mind: if they were given one genuine opportunity to know you again, would they finally understand what they failed to understand before? And this is where the silence reaches its turning point. Don't skip, because your soulmate has realized something that could change every assumption they carried about this connection. There may never be a perfect moment to speak. Waiting for certainty could simply create more silence, and they already know what silence feels like. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Somewhere inside them, the decision is becoming simpler. They don't need to know exactly how the story ends before taking one sincere step. They only need to decide whether knowing the truth is worth more than endlessly wondering about it. And after everything they secretly discovered about your life, one thought is becoming impossible to ignore: you were never simply someone from their past. You became a question their heart never completely answered. Now they know you have changed, they know life has moved forward, and they know nothing can be assumed. Yet that is exactly why the next chapter feels so powerful. Because if the silence ever ends, it won't be two old versions of yourselves trying to recover yesterday. It will be two changed people discovering whether something meaningful survived the distance, and what your soulmate is preparing themselves to admit could make that first conversation completely different from anything you imagined.